Got them early too. We'll
Yeah.
get busy. Well, no, I don't know. If I don't know the works, maybe they got some Ukrainians. Some spare M1s, I don't know.
Okay, well, my camera just crapped out, so that's great. So we're gonna do it this way. Oh, no, it didn't. I just turned off the video. Great start. Try this again. Sorry,
Here we go.
everybody. I apologize for being silly. God, these cords are gonna kill me. Good enough. All right. Nobody touch anything. Mostly myself. Sorry. We're good. Sorry, that was my fault. Just turn stuff off. Okay. Go for it. I'm gonna go ahead and start the webinar now.
Recording in progress.
Perfect. So call to order for the June library trustee meeting. Peter Bakula.
Present.
Francis Casals. Stephanie Belair. John McAllister. Stephanie Najjar.
Present.
Kate O'Brien. Present. Thomas Papa.
Present.
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 Jennifer Smith. Here. Ruth Teitelbaum.
Here.
Christina Marcello.
Here.
Right, and then our section for public comments. For anyone.
No one in there in Zoom.
So we can move, I have a motion to approve the minutes from the May 2nd meeting or comments. And
as usual, I will in the morning, I'll send you, Kate, my usual little nitpicky things. But I do have some comments on the page 2, the programs and initiatives. I just thought it might be useful to add that it raised a certain amount of money for the conservation of the Audubon prints, just to kind of
Sure, I can add that.
fill out that.
Add that in. Yep.
And the other thing was on the, what page it is, the discussion and questions for the director. This had to do with the Birds and Bubblies event, and says Trustee Pappas confirmed that the event was under budget.
What did I do?
That's what that's why I have a question.
Thank you. I thought I.
Trustee Pappas confirmed the event was under budget.
We will figure out what that means tomorrow.
Okay.
So I make a motion.
Wait a minute.
Oh, let me know when you're done.
That's it.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as amended. You can have a second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, receipt of communication, we did not receive any communication, and so on to the report of the library director.
Good evening. Director's report to the Board of Library Trustees, June 2023. Staffing, longtime public services librarian Sharon Janis retired at the end of May. Creativity Lab librarian Micah Hearn has accepted the position of Noble's PC support specialist, a position with our consortium that will involve traveling between Noble libraries to provide on-site and remote technology support. We are so sad to see Mike go and will forever be grateful for his almost 10 years of service leading the Creativity Lab, and more recently also working in public services. He's an incredible teacher and librarian, and we wish him the best of luck. This summer, the library welcomes 2 college summer interns, Christina Deravan and Ariana Servadeo, who will work regular shifts at all 3 locations to provide coverage and backup during summer vacations. They will begin this coming Monday, June 12th, and be with us until Labor Day. We will also be welcoming 4 teenage summer interns through the annual First Jobs program with the North Shore Workforce Board. These teams will work with the teen and children's departments to set up and lead the free summer lunch program. And this year, 1 intern will work with the West Branch assisting the summer reading activities. First Jobs intern salaries are paid for as part of the library's personnel budget, but those salaries are then reimbursed by the North Shore Workforce Board as the program ends. As a reminder, this Thursday is the staff active shooter training. The vast majority of staff have expressed interest in attending the training. So the training will be held at the main library, which will have a late 1 p.m. opening to accommodate the training. Trustee Shruhan will attend the training and send all pertinent information to the board. We also have an all-staff de-escalation training coming up on Tuesday, June 20th. Interviews for the open aide position begin on Wednesday, and we hope to fill this position as quickly as possible. And then congratulations are in order for senior teen librarian Allison Bridgewater, who was elected chair of the Mass Library Association's Youth Services section for a 2-year term, and to senior children's librarian Jenny Usovich, who has been named chair of the 2024 Mass Book Award Early Reader and Picture Book category after being a category judge for many years. Building. The South Branch Library LED conversion has been completed, and I invite you to visit the South Branch to see how bright and welcoming it is, even with the lights at their lowest setting. They tried them at the medium setting and it hurt everybody's eyes, which is a good problem. So they're on the lowest setting and plenty bright. The West Branch Library roof continues to leak despite many repairs and patches. Trustee Galucci has volunteered to advocate for a complete roof replacement. The main library HVAC system has needed repairs recently, including a chiller repair and the replacement of the condenser for the separate sunroom system. After coordinating with the city facilities department, it was decided that repairs would be done by the company that we have an annual contract with instead of done by in-house staff. I am submitting work orders for the following work: painting the main library old building window frames, wood doors, and wooden sign, adding additional electrical and internet connections throughout the main library, and getting a quote for the conversion of West Branch lights to LEDs. A work order has been submitted for pothole repairs in both the main and West Branch parking lots. I received a quote from our current alarm monitoring company, Instant Alarm, regarding the security system here at the main library for upgrading the alarm panels and adding remote monitoring to our current system, plus installing a new system of cameras and adding entirely new systems at the branches. Trustee Shruhan has received a copy to review, and I've spoken to the head of facilities and the city purchasing manager. Once Trustee Shruhan has reviewed the proposal, I plan on going forward with the current main library upgrades to the alarm panels and adding remote monitoring and adding the systems to the branches as quickly as possible using state aid funds. And I'll also be asking for the main library cameras as a city capital request. And I have copies of that quote, just a couple if anybody would like to take a look at it. Programs and initiatives, you can see there's a lot because this is our busy time of year. Children's Department. This summer is the library's 15th serving as an open lunch site for the statewide Project Bread Summer Eats program. And the library is excited to be again partnering with the Peabody School Department to provide free lunches for kids and teen at the main library on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 9 weeks. The lunch program runs from Tuesday, June 27th through Tuesday, August 22nd, and will also include free library programs and activities each day. The Teen and Children's Departments coordinate this program with the help of First Jobs teen interns. The Summer Reading Kickoff Ice Cream Party is Wednesday, June 28th at 2 p.m. Summer reading will involve online tracking of minutes read and, of course, prizes. Haven from Hunger has requested the donation of weeded books for their new Little Free Libraries, and the Children's Department is happy to help. The catalog computer in the Children's Department has been made more accessible by setting up a large keyboard that is better for the visually impaired and for children who do not yet know how to type but are able to read letters and type letter by letter to search books. A story walk has been set up in the main library yard of the book Don't Let the Pigeons Stay Up Late by Mo Willems. Senior children's librarian Jenny Usovich reached out to the publisher of the book and was pleased that Disney Publishing gave the library permission to bend the rules of their copyright policy to offer this free fund program for the community, since it is not monetized and will be up for a temporary installation. The Children's Library will have 6 classes from the Welch School visit the library and receive their library cards next week. Senior librarian Usovich picked up the applications today from the Welch School and has started processing the applications so that the kids can start checking out books when they come the day of the field trip. Creativity Lab librarian Mike Ahern also helped to create a large version of the library card so that kids can take a photo with it when they get their library card. Senior librarian Usovich and senior teen librarian Allison Bridgewater participated in the Immigrant Family Outreach event at Higgins Middle School, where they helped to translate into Spanish library programs, flyers, and events and register families for library cards. In June, there will be an edible plant program with the Mass Horticultural Society, forgot capital letters, with our plant mobile on a Saturday. In July, there will be a ukulele program for children fitting into the Find Your Voice theme, and it's a musical program for children. An alpaca educational program is booked in August with a Harvard alpaca farm for a fun end of summer program. And on July and August Monday mornings, we will have Reading to Therapy Dogs with 2 different therapy dogs from Bones. Teen Department. Senior teen librarian, forgot her name, Allison Bridgewater, Reports the daily events will be held every Monday through Thursday this summer from 2 to 4, and each week will focus on a different topic related to the theme of Find Your Voice, such as creative writing, photography, music, etc. The summer will end with an open mic night scheduled for August 22nd. 3 June teen pride events are scheduled. Movie night with a PG-13 movie based on one of the most popular YA books of all time, Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda. Game night with games like pride themed categories and Trivial Pursuit, and an online dishing out drag Q&A with a drag queen about the makeup and costume process and how performing makes the presenter feel more confident. The online program is sponsored by the Haverhill, Wilmington, and Raleigh Public Libraries. Over 25 other Massachusetts libraries, including us, are partnering by sharing sign-up information with their own patrons, but are not actually financially sponsoring the event itself. The event is online via a Zoom webinar, and only the presenter and moderators will be visible to all attendees, and questions and comment will only be visible to the moderators. Other library-wide initiatives include Pride book and media displays, rainbow-themed crafts for all ages, an online adult informational LGBTQ plus history of Massachusetts webinar, and a Pride trivia night run by senior librarian Toth, Creativity Lab librarian Ahern, and the staff from the Beverly Public Library. Adult services. Senior librarian Gabriella Toth reports that the spring concert series ends tonight with Sean Gaskell. The other concerts have been very well attended, especially, as we all know, Anya Minogue and Stephanie James. Harvard professor Theo Harris led a 6-week lecture and discussion series on Shakespeare and had a full house. He will be back in the fall to talk about Black American literature. Senior librarian Toth and senior local history librarian Catherine Vidal have partnered to write a Mass Humanities Reading Frederick Douglass grant to fund a community reading of Frederick Douglass's What to a Slave is the 4th of July. Our reading will take place on Thursday, December 14th, which is 2 days before the 150th anniversary of Mr. Douglass speaking in the PIL Athenaeum Lecture Hall in December of 1873, basically right back there, 150 years ago. 2 local professors, bless you, from Salem State University and Tufts University will partner with us on this reading, followed by a panel discussion of the work and its legacy today. Technology. Due to demand for circulation versus in-house use of Chromebooks at the main library and requests for circulating Chromebooks at the branches, senior technology librarian Yunan Guo has converted nearly all of the in-house Chromebooks to circulating ones. Senior librarian Guo has also replaced main library adult PC number 4 with the new book scan station and connected the old flatbed scanner to adult PC 2, so now the library has 2 scanners available for the public. Many of the main and South Branch public computers need to be replaced. They're all at least 5 years old, which will be done in FY24. We will be analyzing the need for the full 12 desktop PCs at the main library, given the shift to personal technology that still utilizes our Wi-Fi but does not need our physical computers. And I'm considering only replacing 8 and leaving the 4 remaining study carrels for laptop instead. South Branch. Senior South Branch librarian Amy Titus reports that the South Branch Library has hosted several adult programs, including a gardening program by former Tilly's staff member Linda Sessa, and an introduction to bird watching by local birder Dave Williams. Genealogy office hours presented by genealogist and trustee Jennifer Smith will continue once a month throughout the summer. Outreach with the elementary schools is going well. The South Branch has coordinated visits from every 1st grade class and 1 3rd grade class from the Brown School. They receive a tour of the library and learned about the summer reading program. In June, every class K through 4 from the South School will be visiting to learn about summer reading. Senior librarian Titus visited 1 3rd grade class from the Brown School and participated in the South School's literacy night in May. And the South Branch has many summer programs planned for children, including pajama story times, family bingo, family Legos, family movie nights, and craft kits. Toddler Storytime has been well attended since its inception in March and will continue throughout the summer. West Branch. This past month, Senior West Branch librarian Amory Thomas has been working on planning for summer programming. There are many programs planned for adults and teens, such as wood-burning birdhouses and an introduction to crochet led by Senior Librarian Thomas. A new cookbook club met for the first time this past month, and it has garnered a lot of interest and participation. Book clubs are the most popular programs, with 20 people attending the last fiction book club meeting. The new teen computers will hopefully be installed in the next few weeks. Budget. I have included the current budget for your review. You'll see we're right on track because it's the end of the fiscal year. Collective bargaining has ended, and a new contract between the City of Peabody and the Peabody Federation of Teachers Unit E Library has been ratified. This new contract runs from September 1st, 2022, so this past September, through August 31st, 2025. The contract includes annual raises for all staff, an added 15 and 25-year step for long-term staff, increases in longevity amounts, and some added benefits. Staff received their pay raises in the last pay period and expect to receive the retroactive salaries back to 9/1/22. Sorry, my ears are wrong. the last like 9 months basically, in the next few pay periods. And these increases were anticipated and figured into the FY24 budget request. And speaking of which, a reminder that the City Council budget hearing for city-side departments is next Thursday, June 15th at 6. I will inform the board of the outcome of the meeting, and the public is welcome to attend in person or via Zoom. And finally, policy. This evening, there are 3 policies that I'm requesting be discussed and voted on during new business. These policies were sent to you with the agenda, and I've printed copies available for everyone who would like one. Teen room use policy, programming policy with the request for reconsideration of library programming forms, and then an update of the request for reconsideration of library materials forms, so those forms basically match. And that's it. We are busy.
Any questions?
More explanation.
Mhm.
I don't understand the meaning of weeded books. What does that mean?
So we did books, are books that are removed from the collection. It's a process that every library, school, and public goes through. It's basically any book that, based on our policies and kind of library world standards, are deemed no longer needed in our collection because of age or condition, or the information's no longer, like we had to go through,
Okay,
pull all the old Pluto books where Pluto was a planet, that kind of thing. But it's also books that every section has its own policies and its own guidelines, but basically books that haven't been checked out in a given amount of time. It's basically to make room for new books, because we are not, the Library of Alexandria. We can't keep every book on the shelf. We have to periodically just refresh the collection. So it's getting rid of old books, and they are either most books can't be recycled because of the binding, the glue on the binding. So there's a service called Better Old Books that we send all of our books to, and then they sell them used on their website. And then that little bit of profit goes back to the foundation. So it continues to kind of cycle and fund us. A lot of the books are just donated as well to people in little free libraries, or we have them for sale at our book sale. But it's basically the process of making sure our collection does not get old and, out of date and choked with too many books on the shelf.
okay. Thank you.
It's one of the librarian's favorite things to really weed a collection. Sarah understands, because it means you're getting out everything that is just no longer useful to the public anymore. You want to make sure that your collection is active and current and what people want. And if you have a whole shelf full of books from 10 years ago that nobody's ever going to check out, you're no longer serving the public. So it's a good feeling.
Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry. You can call it.
Question about,
Yeah. Sorry.
whoops, this story walk.
Yeah.
What's this all about, and what's got to do with Disney's copyright?
Yeah, so a story walk is basically when you take a picture book and you cut all the pages out and you laminate them and you put them on, the signs that you put in your front yard for like campaigns or something. You basically laminate them and attach them to signs, and so you walk along the store. Pages are all split up along the path. Sometimes it's a path through the woods or around a park. For us, it's around the courtyard. So basically, it's a chance for families to come and walk around outside and read the book together and kind of experience it. And the reason copyright comes into play is because you're destroying the book, but you're still sharing it with people. So you're not using the book in the way it was intended. And so we just have to make sure it's okay that we're allowed to do that. And publishers never speak to this, but publishers never really, for libraries, have issues with that, because we're not making money off of it, and it's not forever, and it's a temporary thing. It's fun though.
Mhm.
You've done it on the bike path in the past.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Wilmington has a really cool one around the lake.
Oh, that's nice.
It's if you ever go to Wilmington's
Yeah.
Rotary Park, it's amazing,
Oh, good.
and they have a playground there. So
Even better. Even better. Yes.
Okay. I was thinking about the Juneteenth Pride events.
Yeah.
You said that you're not financially sponsoring the event. I just wonder who is.
So the 3 libraries that are actually hosting it, Haverhill, Wilmington, and Rowley, there's been a new trend. So during COVID, when a lot of libraries started to do online programming, they realized that getting the word out, the library that was paying for it was not really any skin off their back to have people in other communities attend it, because it's online and they get better circulation and attendance numbers, and they're kind of spreading the love. And so there are a lot of libraries right now, like Haverhill does it, in the Tewksbury Public Library. They bring in these really cool events, and they basically send out information to every other library in the state. Say, hey, do you want to partner? And the other library basically says yes. And so they just get a flyer or like information to send out to their patrons. It's really nice. It's a way of making sure that all of our programs people know that it's people from any community are welcome. And when it's an online event, it's even easier to market that to other people and spread the word. So those 3 libraries are paying, and I think I'm not sure how much they're paying this performer, this presenter. But I think there are like 27 libraries total participating in this, which is really neat.
Silver lining.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And you gotta look
I-
at the
No,
outside.
no, she
I,
can.
just one last question. This isn't for you, it's for Jennifer, actually, as you're giving your, monthly or weekly, monthly, something that the branch. I just wonder what kind of, uh, attendance or what's the audience been for that? Oh, oh, all right. Tom, Tom.
No, it's just fine. Just two questions for our director.
Sorry.
Just for informational purposes on the security.
Yes.
panel. We're using state aid funds, which
Yes.
we have a budget for. And then can you explain how the city capital request will work? Is it a possibility that the request can be turned down?
Yes, they can always be turned down. And from my understanding, there have been I had put a general request for that for FY 24 when city capital requests were due like a couple months ago. Time has no meaning. But now I have the more specific costs, and I had guessed the total for the main library work is 47,000 and change, and I had guessed it would be about $40,000. So all I have to do is send this formal proposal, this quote, to the city finance director and just update the numbers a little bit. And then from my understanding, there have been a round of meetings that have been taking place now for early FY 24 requests, and I was not part of that because I didn't have updated numbers and I didn't need anything right now. My meetings and discussing this would be so then the city council has to, I think, I'm not sure how it works, but basically the city council has to approve it then from capital accounts. So it's a slow process,
Okay,
but
all right. I just don't, I saw the two budgets here and the two sources of money, and I was concerned that we'd have half a security system,
well, we already have one here.
half a new security.
Right. We already have one here. So we can kind of keep going on our security system here as long as we have to.
Right.
The important thing is, I was explaining this to Trustee Shruhan, to get upgraded and new alarm code panels here. So then everybody that uses it has their own code, and also includes remote monitoring. So I from home can see who's undone the alarm, who's come in the building, an alarm goes off, and I know it's a staff member who was silly and came before we told him to, I can just disarm it from home. And also then at the branches, I will have the ability to actually watch in real time the cameras there and keep an eye on things. So I would rather, my goal, my priority is the alarms getting changed here and the cameras at the branches, because there are none. And that's really not an acceptable way to live in 2023 with no cameras there. So
It's smart to go.
I'm happy to have a half system as long as the priority is the branches, because
Okay.
the branches historically have been kind of forgotten.
You have a
So
plan B just in case.
I do.
That's-
Yeah. We're fine here,
Always-
knock on wood for now.
And then the other question is on the City of Peabody Federation of Teachers.
Yes.
And all that, for the new raises. What's the percentage that was,
So it's 3% every year. Grab it out of here.
Well, was that 5 years?
For 3 years. I think this is a 3-year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're almost at the end of FY 23 right now. So FY 23 was 3%. So people are going to get a big retro payment in the next couple weeks, going all the way back to September, and then FY 24 and FY 25. So this is the end of August of 2025. So it's 3% every year for full-time people. And then our aides actually I'm very excited about this, because the aides right now are at $15.50 an hour starting now, and then retroactive back to September, they're at $17 an hour. And then on September 1st of this year, they go up to $18.50. And then in September of 2024, they go up to $20 an hour. So our aides have been historically like basically minimum wage.
Yeah.
So this is actually paying them closer to what they're worth and getting the salaries up to a more substantial.
and when you say what they're worth, so are we in line with other libraries?
Still not, but we're getting there.
So,
We're still a bit low,
okay,
but we're getting there. Yeah,
all right. I
Yeah.
knew that we were low.
we're getting there.
It's above McDonald's anyway.
Barely,
It should
barely.
make it should make it attractive.
Thank you.
It's a lot better. And then they also added a 15-year and 25-year step, because right now there are 4 steps. There's which top out after like 2 years or something very quickly. And then there's a 15 and 25-year step, which only benefits maybe 3 or 4 of our employees. And then the longevity payments for full-time staff at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 years, they all bumped up a little bit. So those are a payment every December that people get based on their years of service, and that goes up a bit. It added Juneteenth to the list of holidays, which is now a state holiday. It added a parent of spouse to the list of immediate family in terms of funeral leave, so they get more time for that. And then the pay stuff. So it wasn't a ton of changes, but it was the important changes. And I have copies of this MOU if anybody wants to see it. We the contract we've been, because of COVID, the contract we've been operating off of is the September 1, 2015 to August 31, 2018 contract plus like a yearly MOU. And so it was never like squished together into a final. Like if you look at the copies on my computer, it says draft all over. It was never like finalized into a formal, it hasn't been done over the last couple of years. So hopefully with this MOU, we'll get the contract totally updated and not just like a bunch of MOU stuck to the back of it. And I can give everybody a copy of that once that's done, because it's good to know for personnel reasons and stuff like that. It's good to know what the contract, I know it very well. So it'd be good for you guys to know it too.
Ann, are you done?
Yes. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
I just want to make a comment. Okay, so the company that she got the quote from, which I already reviewed, okayed and signed, as I reviewed it, is I've worked with Inspire Alarms. I've worked with them for like 8 years or more. I worked with them Hamilton Wenham. I worked with them in Lynn. I really like them. They're reasonable. They're technical, smart. I knew the president, Chris.
Brella, I think. Yeah, Brella.
A top-notch salesman. So anyway, they're a good company. I was very pleased with them and I used them a lot. So
I think that they already know us because they've been doing the alarm monitoring here at the main library. And they understood the concern about, when we were talking about the branches. Well, we can't put a camera behind the staff's head at the desks, because then it invades the privacy of everybody because it shows what they're doing on the computer. So it's that kind of stuff that it's different in a private company than a public library. And so he was very amenable and understanding really quickly of like, we need a camera that, yes, it only shows the back of patrons' heads, but we also can't do it from the other direction, because then I can over the camera look at patrons' information on the computer screen, stuff like that. So he understood very quickly our needs based on the kind of institution we are. It was a really pleasant experience walking through 3 locations very slowly and pointing out things and explaining what we needed. So
Any other
Thank you.
questions or discussions for the director? Can I have a motion to approve the director's report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the report of committees, Audubon, any update,
Nothing to report at this time.
building and grounds,
nothing further in the director's report.
right, personnel,
nothing to report at this time.
policy and procedures. I know we have a few to vote on.
Nothing beyond what we're.
Foundation,
Just a quick note, the geranium sale was very successful and we profited $1,767.
That's great.
Very nice.
Amazing, for not a lot of work. Just You wanted to be.
and Sports Society.
The next event is on June 14th, and that is Mrs. Felton's Tea, which is held at the Felton House. It's a really lovely event. Every lady, it's all women. And the volunteers make all the refreshments, all the little sandwiches and the desserts. It's very nice. Attendance is strictly limited because of the space that's available there. It's 44 people. That's all that can be accommodated. And all the tickets were sold within a couple of weeks of the announcement. And it's just a great event.
Only women allowed to attend?
No,
Or is it just happens?
no,
to
it
be?
just
I was just curious.
it's promoted as Mrs. Felton's Tea. And it says on the invitation that you're encouraged to wear a hat.
Red Sox.
Well,
Women approved.
yes.
Can I have a motion to accept the committee's reports?
So we
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, new business. So I know we have a number of policies.
Yeah.
So we have the programming policy and request for program reconsideration form. Is there any discussion or?
So I can kind of give the background of this. So we all know that we have our collection development policy, and along with that is our request for reconsideration of library materials, because everybody has the right to, to have concerns about an item in our collection. We also acknowledge that people might have concerns or not like a specific programming that we're doing because it doesn't fit with whatever. We thought, and this is something a lot of public libraries they're adding a separate programming policy, which basically says like, this is how we decide to do programs, and then this is your way of questioning it. And so you can read it basically says like the criteria, how we choose to do a program. A program does not have to fit all of those, but that's what we try to fit. And if we say yes to a program, it's because it's fit at least one of those criterias. We can also, if the public suggests a program, say no to a policy based on those criteria as well if we don't feel it fits that. Expectations, basically what people can assume of at a program. It's free to open to the public, where they're held. It's kind of just boilerplate, like what happens at a program or event at the library. Boilerplate, what happens with registration, how we promote our things, event management, basically what happens if somebody comes, there's a disruptive patron, or something happens with the power goes out or whatever. And then at the end is program reconsideration. The request for reconsideration of library materials is a very long, protracted process because it's a book in our collection, not something that's happening in like a week like a program is. So this policy basically says that a request, and the form, we'll go through the form, it basically is the same as the book, just like the language is tweaked. Basically says that we want people to give us a written form filled out at least 2 weeks before the event. While it's under review, we're not going to cancel or delay or reschedule the event. It's the same thing with the book. We keep a book on the shelf while it's under review. We keep a program on the calendar while it's under review. I will respond to them at least 2 days before the program is, with the reasoning for why the program is happening, and then the result of my looking at the program with our criteria and deciding if it's something we're going to keep or not. And we only have one step to that because it's a very time sensitive thing. It's not something with the book that's going to be in our collection for a long time. This is something usually that's happening 4 days from now, next weekend, in 2 weeks and something. So there's really only one step to it. Somebody can always, it's of course not in here, but obviously somebody can, if they don't like my answer, appeal to the trustees. But at that point, the program's already happened. So this is why we are kind of keeping this to a short and sweet, like I will reconsider it and discuss it with the patron, and that's kind of it. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. But I think it's important to have this on the books in terms of how we do choose programming. And I think it's important to have this reconsideration thing. So if the patron does have a concern or an issue or a complaint, there's an official form for them to put it on the record, an official, something for them to fill out, not just, calling the library and talking to me. I think it should be more official than that. So the form you can see is basically the same as the request for reconsideration of library materials. It's the same exact form, just the language is different. Title, presenter, program date, location, what's the audience, why do you object, have you attended this program or ever seen this presenter before, what do you feel might be the result of attending this program, what do you believe to be the theme or purpose, are you aware of judgment of this presenter by professional critics or reviews if it's like an artist or something, how did you become aware of this program, so like on our library website, on social media, whatever. What would you like the library to do about this program, and would you recommend this program to anyone, why or why not? And please suggest alternate programs that could provide similar information and perspective of this subject. So it asks people to be very specific, as we do with materials, because I feel that programs and materials they do go hand in hand in terms of like the library basically and services that you provide.
I just have a issue.
Yeah.
Items 5 and 6,
Mhm.
where you use the word feel and the word believe.
Yep.
Now, what somebody feels, it's pretty hard to refute. Emotion, it's not a factual.
Okay.
Same thing with belief.
What would you suggest as a?
Something, I haven't really thought that through, but
How about the word think?
think,
It's personal. It's a reason.
It is, yeah. I mean, the whole point of this is that it is a very personal thing. It's based on, it's somebody's personal opinion that they're sharing with us.
right?
This is just a way for them to put their personal opinion down in writing versus it being a voicemail on the phone that's not put into the record. So I think
The
those,
question is meant to be a personal.
yeah, it's absolutely meant to be a subjective question because it is, because it's a personal belief. If you don't like a program or a book, it comes from a personal place.
If you want to carry that conversation out further, you could say, what was your understanding of?
Okay, I can do that.
I don't
Yeah.
have a fault with time.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyone else feels strongly about it? Feels strongly about it?
It's
It
hard
might
to
be
argue
fine.
against feelings.
I mean, I think we all know the intent here.
If somebody has a feeling, but if they have a thought, you can have a good intellectual exchange.
Okay.
And I see what you're saying, Ann. And you know, my beliefs, I can have beliefs and I'm not wrong, but it's not gonna make any action happen, but I can have thoughts. And you know, some kind of an argument that we can talk about. So I think the word thinking, what you think, as opposed to believe and feel, I think.
Okay, I can change. That's an easy change to make.
Yeah.
That's still the
It's
same idea.
What you need too, right?
Yeah.
in this form.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that if everybody else has any objections, that's an easy change to make.
Yeah, and then on item 11, asking for them to suggest alternative programs.
Yep.
I just wonder if the person who's objecting is probably pretty right about this whole thing and isn't in a position to really suggest.
Well,
I don't know.
we've always-
That I just question.
We have that on our request for reconsideration for books
Right,
also.
I know, yeah.
And
They could decline too to make.
Yeah, they don't-
That's true,
yeah.
That's true.
but I think the idea is that this is a serious thing. Challenging a book or challenging a program, I think are pretty equivalent in my point of view as a librarian in terms of like seriousness and they're big deals. It's not, and I want to make it clear also that challenging that something the library is doing is a big deal. And I think it's appropriate to ask people to do that thought exercise as well.
Well, that's true.
And I think that's part of it, that
If you're gonna complain,
this needs to be a formal process and to make it all understood on all sides, all parties involved, that this is a serious formal process that takes time and consideration, and there are policies involved, and there's the good of the community involved, and it's not just something that's a flippant complaint, basically, where you just shoot off an email and that's your complaint and
Yeah,
nothing is.
yeah.
That's why I have that in there to
Right.
ask people to
I
participate
think-
a little
I
bit
think
more.
11 is good because you're giving them an opportunity to give a contrast.
Yep.
You know, you should do it this way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I suggest.
And it's allowing for some feedback too. I mean, I'm allowing the person to give us suggestions, and I don't have to, we don't have to take the suggestions, but it's allowing them to have a little bit of stake in it as
Yeah,
well and
yeah.
have a suggestion there.
All right, okay. I just question, not in general, but what I've read in the media, local papers and national papers. The big issue with libraries is these drag queen story hours. And I wonder, have you been approached by any two? I mean, that seems to be the one that triggers the outrage, in the community. and
Yeah.
gets into the community.
We have not, we are not holding, we've historically never done drag queen story times with kids, and we're not doing that this year. We're doing this drag queen online Q&A because a lot of the kids that we serve are part of that LGBTQ community, and this is something that they're interested in. And we've had requests for more information about this world, and we're trying to meet the kids where they are and give them what they're interested in. And I think actually in the fall, we are going to be doing an all ages family friendly drag bingo, which is, again, it's they've done it at the Black Box Theater. It's been incredibly popular. And this is going to be an all ages thing on a Saturday morning. And it's going to be Halloween themed. So the whole point is like dress up in a costume and have fun. And the drag queen is actually a kid who grew up in Peabody and graduated from Peabody High like 10 years ago. So he's a native Peabody kid. He's not a kid anymore. He's a native. He reached out to us, and he's a Peabody native, and he lives and works in Peabody. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to kind of meld that all together. But we don't plan on doing any drag queen story times for children. It's not something that we've historically done, and we've had no request from the community.
Someone that came to Higgins last Thursday.
Justin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For our Pride meeting.
Yes.
Pride Club meeting.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Can I have
So you have,
I have one more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. On number 7,
Mhm.
are you aware of the judgment to be a judgment or any judgment
I guess maybe that should be,
or bias?
that can be maybe just, are you aware of any? So this was supposed to be the equivalent to have you read professional reviews of this book? That was supposed to be the equivalent question. It is awkwardly phrased.
How about credentials?
Oh, credentials is a good idea. Yeah,
The credentials of this presenter, is that what?
it's not really.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking is
But I guess
credentials.
reasonably, you're not going to get reviews of most of these
Oh.
performers that we have are not gonna have reviews, but maybe like their expertise in the area instead of doing that, which makes them do a little bit of research into that person. Maybe that instead, maybe like, are you aware of of any expertise that this presenter has in this, on the theme of this something?
Yeah.
Have had reviews. Some of the authors or professors or whatever, so I think it's worth learning well still.
Okay,
The question is, beware of the judgment of the presenter
by
or
professional
the,
critics.
or the judgment of the professional critics of this presenter. What do you,
There might not be.
Might not be any.
But there may be, there may not.
I think that having the question,
what is the question? Who you
Have
asking?
they read any opinions of this person?
Right.
Yeah.
Saying by critics. So they're aware of anyone
Any
else's
critics?
Right.
Critics-
it's hard though, because in the book world, it's a lot easier to say, I've read these reviews in these 5 review journals.
Right, right.
And like the Boston Globe, but yeah, presenters, it's hard because sometimes it's like the kid from down the street. But I think maybe we should change that to still like, have you read any professional reviews of this program?
Right.
But I think
right.
also then, are you aware of this presenter's expert, like something about expertise, like, or not, we don't have to put that in, but I think that the language is a bit awkward.
It
So
is, it is. And I bet most people will say none,
yeah,
because that's not what they're into.
what professional
Not into
reviews,
really rationally assessing something there.
what professional reviews have you seen of this presenter or program that kind of,
What professional
You want to put
reviews?
professional?
Yeah, right.
I think
Reviews, what reviews?
I think professional is important to put in there because it implies that we're looking for like the Boston Globe Arts Reviewer. We're
I
not
agree,
looking
yeah.
for
Yeah.
nobody,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Legitimate.
I think legitimate also gets
Yeah.
squashy and subjective there.
As opposed to an opinion. of
Right.
something.
I think that what professional reviews have you seen of this presenter or program?
right. That's better.
Yeah.
Can I have a motion for the?
Actually, sorry. One more thing. I forgot that Assistant Director Hayden suggested. Nope, just kidding. That's it. I will change, so I guess then the policy as amended with those two, what do you think might be the result? What do you think is the theme or purpose? And then professional reviews of this presenter or program. I guess that's what we're asking for.
So we want a motion for the programming policy and request for program consideration form, those 3 amendments that were just.
So moved.
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
The next would be the update to request for program reconsideration. Is there any questions?
Library materials. Fifth materials reconsideration form. The only, I just changed the language so it matches the program reconsideration form. It's the same things.
The same.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
can change 5 to what you think might be the result.
Right.
What do you think is the theme?
Yeah.
And then I think 7, we should leave then. Because
Yes.
there are 2 questions. So like, are you aware of it? Is different than like, I'm
Right,
aware of it, but I
right.
I don't care. This is, are you aware of it and have you seen them?
Any
Yeah.
other discussion?
I move to accept the policy for the materials. Second.
On favor?
Thank you.
The next one is the teen room. use
Yes. So this came about because we have a lot of kids that are using the teen room after school these days and in the evenings. And we have a lot of adults who are looking for either a private tutoring area or a quiet area who kind of hunker down in the teen room. And it's back to when I was a teen librarian. I really feel that the teen room needs to be it needs to be very much reserved just for teenagers. And the second you allow like a younger kid or a parent to be in there, you ruin the whole feeling of the teen room as, free third space where there's nobody judging them and they can do what they want to do within reason, following rules. So this basically says like it's intended for students in grades 6 to 12. it's exclusively for teenagers. Adults and kids can still come in to talk to the librarians, to ask for help, to get a book, to peruse, to look around, whatever. But really only teenagers are allowed to like actually settle in and spend time in the teen room. And having a policy is very helpful when there are people who don't quite, not everybody understands the importance of a teen room in the library, which I understand. But having a policy is really helpful for us to make sure that people understand where we're coming from and why we value teenagers having their own space so much. So this just kind of gives us backup if there's ever a concern or issue.
Any questions about that one? Can I have a motion?
Yeah.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So the next thing is the discussion around changing bylaws for our meeting date to starting in September. Let's change it to the first Tuesday, opposed to the first Monday. There's discussion around that. We had briefly touched upon it last month.
Just for September?
No, so moving forward. So that way for like Labor Day, those Monday holidays, in January, when we get like bounced all around. Also.
It also is a lot
It's just easier.
better for my staff as well,
Um,
because my staff actually have time to give me their department. If you notice, this department update was really elaborate, and I want them all to be like that. And it's hard for people to give that to me the week before because they forget and they have other stuff that happens over the weekend.
So I have a question. I don't quite understand. So only the days after like holidays or forever, every
Correct.
Tuesday?
Yeah, so starting in September, our meeting day would be this first Tuesday of the month. So instead of being the first Monday, moving forward, it would always be the first Tuesday. And we can have a discussion around that. If people are hesitant, it seems like it would, we'd avoid that holiday bumping around. January, we end up bumping really late.
Same thing with September.
Better, which I,
And in September, it's always wonky because there were my issue with the September meeting, especially, it ends up being the second September of the month, which means I have when I give you my September report, that's also when I've been giving you the annual report recently. It's a ton of information, and the later I bump it into September, the bigger that meeting gets, and then the smaller that October meeting is, like 2 weeks later. So I think it just helps us to keep things more evenly spaced throughout the year.
There would be less of a conflict with this concert series as well.
That's correct, because that's always a scheduling conflict. Yes.
Yeah.
And I did speak with the city clerk, and she said that there's no issue. The concern was maybe because it's on school committee nights, it would conflict, and she said there's no conflict there. So it wasn't cause any problems on that end.
they're concerned or hesitation.
It would still be at 6:30.
Yes.
So if I can have a motion.
And that would be in the bylaws, Article 3, which is the Board of Library Trustees, Section 4 meetings. This also says the trustees shall meet for their annual meeting on the first Monday of January. So I guess that's the meeting when people are voted. That isn't, okay, yeah. So that would have to be changed. Meet for their annual meeting on the first Tuesday of January, and for regular meetings on the first Tuesday of each month at such time, blah, blah, blah. So that would just be changing all the Mondays to Tuesdays of the bylaws.
Do we, I don't recall, do we shift for any religious holidays? Do we shift our dates of our meetings, like a Yom Kippur or?
I don't know if it,
Does that?
I don't think recently they have.
yeah.
I think we had to, I guess.
So it does say a meeting falling on a holiday shall be held on the following Monday. And holiday just kind of includes,
Following Tuesday now.
yeah, so that would change to following Tuesday as well. Yeah.
I think we'd still go to less, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's so many Monday.
There's so many Mondays.
Potentially.
And a motion or did more discussion?
And I would still,
Yes,
I think it'll work for me, but I might have conflicts in the future.
Okay.
But I'm willing to try it because even if I do, it might be a 50-50 thing.
Okay.
I don't know, or it might be nothing.
Okay.
I'll let you know in the future.
okay. And there's a way you can always remotely zoom in as well, because we're going to keep doing them like this until the end of time,
Okay.
if that helps. And then another thing, it also says that the agenda, blah, 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 goes up at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. I am going to keep doing them on Thursday mornings then, because it's more than 48 hours. But Thursday mornings, I think, and also we'll give everybody more time to read things, because I also feel really bad sending things to you Thursday morning, then it's basically the weekend, and I'm expecting you to like bone up on all
Right.
this policy in
That's true.
2 days' time with a weekend in the middle, and there's really no time. So on Tuesdays, it gives me the opportunity to send the agenda on Thursday still. You guys get another day to read things and become familiar with things. And then on Monday, if I'm sending you the minutes on Monday, you get an extra day to read things, and it's not all last minute kind of scrambling. So I think just moving it by one day would make things a lot calmer for.
Would people be more comfortable for, instead of changing the bylaws immediately, voting to change it for September, October, November, and then revisit it if some people are feeling,
No, I'm okay with doing it right
Alright,
now.
I just didn't wanna, I was having trouble with faces.
In my mind, I was thinking, I think us, who've been on the board, it's like, almost like tradition, it's every Monday.
Yeah.
Like the library trustees become Mondays, so you have to kind of wrap your head around, okay? Do that.
That's why I do it 7 instead of 6:30.
Right, so can I have a motion?
I'll make, change the minutes from, the
Bylaws.
bylaws from Monday to
Cite,
Tuesday.
cite the section. The bylaws.
Article 3, Section 4.
Article 3, section. I'll second that.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and I did have one more thing, it's not, typically we do not meet in July, August, unless there's, so I know in like 2020, there was a need, so we met.
Sure.
As long as everyone's in agreement, a motion to suspend our meeting for July and August.
Motion to
So moved.
suspend July. and August.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
that's where I thought you were going in the beginning.
Oh. Yes.
Point about the city charter.
Okay, so right to unfinished business. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I think.
No, I was just thinking,
Unfinished
right to unfinished
All right.
business, sorry.
So what's going on with this? I know they had a meeting that was canceled, so,
Yeah.
is there another meeting after that?
I haven't heard if it's been.
I haven't
rescheduled.
been notified of anything either.
I would guess that with the pending budget. that we
Budget,
have,
yeah.
it has
That's,
Taken a.
Yeah, okay.
yes.
It would be, not that I know that.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything.
This discussion about the charter has been going on a year.
I think
Well,
more
or-
pre-pandemic, right?
It was
Yeah.
before COVID.
They just
Uh,
can't seem to get it together.
I think because
COVID.
anytime something else. the
There's
budget
only
was- it-
so much time to do. things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The only other unfinished business, I know we had discussed it, and I will check in with Fran. I'm not sure if we ever sent flowers to Sharon.
We didn't, no.
Okay, I will check in with Fran, and if I could get her.
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
I know we had discussed like sending her.
Yeah.
So I will check in. That, and we'll get to that taken care of.
I have, very minor. There's quite a bit left in the trustee fund.
Yes.
What do you do with that? Do you roll that over into something else, or does it just go away?
It kind of just goes away. Basically, at the end of the year, Russ does a fancy, any account that's been overspent by a little bit, all the money kind of gets shifted around a little bit,
That would,
make sure all of our bills are paid, essentially. And usually at the end of the year, if departments have a lot of money left in certain line items, it'll be kind of reabsorbed by the city to pay other departments' bills. All the money kind of gets just shifted around at the end of the year. Yeah. But I did request the full $1,000 for next year.
seem to work.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Hopefully we won't have more retirements to get flowers for.
Are you continuing your old business or
No, that was my,
I'm sorry I didn't submit this. I just was thinking about all
Yeah.
that. The George Peabody Medal funding. So we had that donor.
Right.
The thing that wanted to pay for, right now, historically, half was paid by the high school, half was paid by the high school
Right.
medal.
Yeah.
So somebody needs to kind of connect this to make it happen, because it's on the city side, the money is sitting with the city treasurer. I've spoken in the past to Diane Full about it, the city treasurer, but you kind of got to get everybody on board. You got to get the new school business manager to kind of get it going and figure out how we cut that check
Well, are
it-
we cutting it or is the city cutting it from that
that-
donation?
That's the thing, you keep playing, like you talk to the principal of the high school who's gonna speak to the business manager. And then we pay, like, it's kind of mixed up right now because we haven't started a payment. So I think something has to initiate a conversation again to
So,
be like,
Do we owe money then?
well, the high school every year pulls a PO for the
Right.
mills. And then I don't even know who transfers, like, I don't know if they send us, I think she sends a copy of the invoice.
At
the
some
clerk
point,
At the high school
yeah,
to
I'll
you,
get it, yeah.
and then we pay the other half. I think 2 checks get sent.
Yeah.
One from here, one from there, but
So the vendor has not been paid as well.
I don't know that you'd have to ask.
Okay,
Yeah. But the question is, the
The question
Then
is
the
going
funding
forward, the donation was supposed to
should go-
afford that,
should go into this fund.
however they make it work on the.
well, I don't know about that either.
So this
Well-
year too now, that monies have.
Oh, I have not gotten a bill. I didn't get an invoice last year.
Because I think it's just so complicated that the high school probably just paid for it, because it's not huge money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
Yeah, I definitely didn't get an
it
invoice
should-
last year.
We should honor the donor's family and they
Sure.
want to do, but it's just, well, there's a lot of pieces and people that have to make it work.
if you want, I guess this is new business, but
Yes.
I had discussed with Kate, kind of starting like a flow chart for like items that the president should be.
I made it.
Okay, so if you want to pass that over,
Yes,
I'll put
I
it and then
thought-
that will
sometimes
kind of,
thought through.
yes,
Well,
and that
little
will be
things.
like absorbed into.
Yes.
And then it can be kind of like
Yes.
passed from president to
Yes.
president.
I think that's
So,
a
like,
fabulous idea.
so like this month, the note
Those
that
are
I
good
added was
advice.
like vote tonight, July and August, so
Right.
like that can be.
So I
included.
sat this afternoon and said, you know what, let me just write all my thoughts down.
Great.
Because that's kind of how my brain works. I'm very detail oriented with little things. And I'm like, these are little things that we have to kind of do to make it all work in the
Yeah,
end, from
that's perfect.
beginning to end. So I'm happy to, I'll send that off to you then. Correct?
Perfect, yes, and I will include that. I think that's something moving forward,
Right,
because then the president knows like
exactly.
what they should be doing and,
Yes.
all right,
Yeah.
perfect.
Can I bring up something in, I don't know what business it would
Back to
be?
business.
Back to new business, sorry, I apologize. But last one, I have all these thoughts. I am of the opinion that you all use your personal emails for trustee business, and I don't think that should be done. I think this should have City of Peabody email addresses. I have tried to get that done. I've emailed various people and heard nothing back. I think that it's something that needs to come from the trustees now to request City of Peabody email addresses, because I know City Council and School Council have cityofpeabody.gov
Right.
email addresses. The PMLP, the Lake Commissioners have PMLP email addresses, and you all use your personal email addresses. And that's always a concern when FOIA requests and public record requests come up, if now you're using your personal email for this public work. So I would suggest that you all as a group, or maybe President O'Brien, start talking to City Hall or even the mayor. I'm not quite sure how to go about it. Figure out how to get you all a City of Peabody email addresses, just so everything is separate from your personal email addresses.
Can't believe we hadn't thought of that sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what a good idea. I was like,
those little things. And I was like, why is this a personal email? That's weird.
Well, it goes along with the whole business of.
That's,
well, it'd have to.
If
be
they-
a report of some type, yeah.
It's pretty
I think that I was not responded to when I sent that email, so I think it's time for you guys as elected officials to start throwing your,
Does take
And
two
if
seconds.
Wait,
people
around.
like, I can send the email if everyone's CC'd, and then people can
Right, right.
chirp in.
I would suggest doing that.
Feel appropriate.
I feel very strongly that it's, because I've been talking to other library directors about
Yeah.
this. Some library trustees have like NobleNet email accounts, which I think is extra weird, because
Yeah,
that's like
Yeah.
the same as library staff, which is weird. So I think that you guys need City of Peabody, and it's gonna be extra work because you're gonna have to check 2 email accounts, but I think it's important in terms of security, and in terms of like possible ever public record. requests.
Yeah.
We always have to be on the lookout for that, just like I talk to my staff a lot about like personal versus work
Right.
accounts and stuff. So I would suggest you try
Yeah.
to make that happen.
Well, the school board
Summer.
creates hundreds of emails every year at the get-go, hundreds. And so this, to create 12 is like.
Yeah.
2-second job.
So whoever has clout, use it.
14.
I think it would be better for everybody.
Yeah.
And also then when you separately, it also, then they would all go up on there's our about page on the library website. I don't have anybody's personal contact information on there, but if you got City of Peabody email addresses, those would all be listed.
Yeah.
And so then if patrons ever wanted to get in touch with you, which is totally reasonable, they're not sending emails to your personal accounts. It's going to the separate account. And also it's easier for patrons to get in touch with you as well.
what is PBD? Your first initial, last name? or last name, first initial?
I don't know.
School district, so I'm not sure what.
Yeah.
It's a little different,
Yeah, I think it is different. I'm not, the
Oh,
school is
okay.
last name, first initial.
but citing those personal privacy reasons is a good, very good reason to have that happen.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I can forward you the email that I sent that was not responded to.
Yeah, sure.
And we can go from there. But if everybody is amenable to that, I think it's an important thing to get done.
Okay, sounds great.
Should we make a motion on that, or should we just say that's an administrative task?
I think the minutes.
Okay.
I think, if people,
So too.
yes,
George Peabody medals went off without a hitch at the
yes,
graduation.
thank you.
They did.
I did open up one of the boxes, when one of the students moved to talk, I looked
Yeah.
inside the box, there's a metal, alloy type of a metal
Yeah,
in there,
yeah.
which is a nice.
So much
improvement.
better than the.
Yeah, so I picked it up,
Happier.
it was substantial, it was
Good.
heavy, so.
Much
nice
happier
to
with
have
it,
that,
yeah.
so.
Good.
Did it have a ribbon? that
It did.
Put it on there?
It did, no, they were given a box. I wasn't really aware of how it was gonna be handled. I showed up, I saw the boxes there, and I had my list of names and speech. And I read them off, and I just shook hands, and before you know it, the principal is just giving out the boxes. She had the thing there all ready to give them out, so.
That's what happened when I did.
So I'm
Gee, I
turning
think it
around,
would-
and students are going this way and that way.
I mean, like at the Olympics, you know, they put the
Right.
ribbon around their necks.
We haven't gone that far yet. We got
Oh,
it, stuck in
shit.
metal chain.
Well, that's
Like
right.
everyone liked.
Yeah, there's, you know,
And there's the ribbon, right.
that
Actually,
was
if you
noted.
want to take that on, it's probably a little,
Yeah,
to
add
do
to
like,
the list.
like move it to that next phase.
Yeah.
Type of a metal, and it's all good.
All right, so that would mean that our next meeting,
Oh, I just have, this, I don't know where this fits, probably nowhere, but I just wanted to report that, on the 31st of May, I signed into the Mass Board of Library Commissioners presentation, I guess it was, on collection development and intellectual freedom. And there were 35 participants from different boards.
Was that one of the
There was-
trustee deep dives?
Yes, yes. There was no real presentation, but questions from a few participants. And my question was, how do trustees get involved with collection development and the preservation of intellectual freedom? And there wasn't really a good answer, except they said the trustees' role in all of that was to approve the policies and support the library director as the decisions that get made here. So that was useful. And
And-
that's what we
Oh,
do.
And our-
that box.
And our policy, and not every libraries does, but our policy, our request for reconsideration for materials, for books and stuff. The 3 steps to it are the group of staff members is sending an opinion to the patron, and then the patron appeals it to the library director. And if the patron does not like the library director's second opinion, then it gets appealed to the trustees, and then somebody gets to show up at the next trustees meeting and give their opinion and kind of do an appeal. There's no questioning, there's no back and forth, it's just a presentation. And then the trustees make that final and binding decision. If those 2 decisions
Right.
obviously have not satisfied the patron, then they get to make the 3rd decision, the final yes or no. And once the trustees have made a final yes or no, it's over.
Yeah.
So that's how,
But that's,
yes,
but we have
Yeah.
the policies in place that we've discussed, and so that when Kate is implementing them, that's
Right.
our support for her
Yeah.
decisions. So that's what came out of that. It wasn't very well structured, and it was over in about 15 minutes. So it was a little disappointing. I thought that people were talking about intellectual freedom and the right to read and all that, but
I have a lot of great webinars that I've attended, and I can send out some links because they're all recorded and made free afterwards that are really fascinating. And I would also suggest, we are gonna be, our collection development policy right now it's old, but it still works, but it's got like a lot of different parts to it, but it's what's gonna still be here over the summer. We're gonna spend the summer redoing it for the fall with your help, to make it a more concise, succinct document. But I suggest, given the world today, that you all have a copy. I can resend out the PDF, print it out and read it and become familiar with it again. Because it's 2023. So I would suggest just always be familiar with that policy as well, because it's always important to know what the policies are, how things are chosen, how things are challenged. It's important to always have that very fresh in your minds.
So our next meeting is September 5th, which is the day after Labor Day at 6:30.
I just put it in.
When you're done, I got just make a comment. When the meeting's over.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
thank you.
Yes.
All in favor?
Okay.
I just finished the